darkness, my old friend. I've come to
thank you for the.
Okay, you
someone get the
Subscribe to BaconGaming.
Fokkeh Wolf, gotta fuck them all. I have to roll. Fokkeh Wolf, I know it's my destiny.
One eternity later.
Bacon, thanks so much for $5.
Wow.
Fokkeh
you got my
Wolf,
pilot. You just one-set my pilot.
they say that you can't turn like ours.
$5 media share.
Until then, you proved them wrong. Then they cry because of hacks.
Thank you for the $5 donation, Bacon. Much appreciated. That song.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, where in today's video I'm going to be talking about the FW-190C. Now many of you may know this is the main prize for aviation for this year's Festive Quest event, and I have to say I think it is a pretty nice aircraft, although of course it is fairly well documented by many people at this point that this aircraft has quite a few glitches and bugs that currently have not been fixed by Gaijin, but rest assured, I am sure that Gaijin will get around to fixing them as soon as possible. I think they have a lot of other things that they need to be working on right now, for example, server issues, those sort of things. Since the last major update, the servers have been a bit iffy, so I think that's a bit more important, but nonetheless, there are a few bugs, like, for example, despite the 220 mils supposedly being in the wing roots, they seem to only fire as the two guns on one side. I believe it's the guns on the left side. So, you know, it's a bit weird, but it doesn't really affect the performance so much. Now, before we get into some games, I will quickly go into the statistics of the aeroplane. Just a basic look, nothing extreme, just a brief overview. So getting right into this, let's get into the battle rating. This is a 5.3 rated aircraft, the same as its other premium Focke-Wulf 190 counterpart, the Focke-Wulf 190 D13, although that in my opinion is slightly better than this aircraft, but that's a topic for a whole nother video. In terms of the tier, this is a tier 4 aircraft, and it is of course a premium, which is rather nice because you can get it in an event where you can, in the event, get the aircraft completely for free. So a free tier 4 premium. Definitely nobody's going to be complaining about that. In terms of weaponry, you have two 20mm MG151 cannons with 250 rounds per gun. Very sparing amount of ammunition there. You really can afford to miss quite a few shots, although I would advise getting good with the guns to maximize your sort of efficiency with them. And it does have secondary guns, which are two 7.92mm MG17 machine guns with 900 rounds per gun. These are supposed to be mounted on top of the engine, in the engine cowlings, although unfortunately it's the MG17s on one side of the aircraft and the MG151s on the other side, but I'm sure that will be fixed soon. In terms of crew, it is of course a single-seat fighter, so that's a one-person crew. And in terms of speed, at 36,000 feet, it can reach 526 miles per hour, which is pretty good. Maximum altitude is almost maximum map limit, which is around 50,000 feet in-game. This can get all the way up to 45,000 feet, so definitely not too bad. Although at lower levels, you will find the aircraft does climb very heavily. This is due to it being a very heavy aircraft, and the supercharger doesn't really kick in until you're past about 10,000 feet, or roughly 4,000 to 5,000 meters. So it can be a bit heavy of an aircraft at lower levels, but once you're past those altitudes, the acceleration and the climb rate, it does improve quite a bit. So definitely the kind of aircraft you want to get to altitude with. And talking of getting to altitude, the listed climb rate is 15.6 meters per second, which isn't bad, but when compared with the Focke-Wulf 190 D13, that has a climb rate of 17.1, so it's a bit lower, but also it's not really too bad. And in terms of takeoff run, 1,476 feet, so not too bad. If anyone's wondering about turn time, it's 20 seconds, although I usually don't bother with turn time as it's not really relevant because it's the aircraft turning with the wings level, only using the rudder, so you know, I'm pretty sure that's not how people dogfight, so I don't really see that as being relevant. And to finish off, it is of course a premium vehicle, so all of the modifications are researched, as well as extra belts for the 7.62mm machine guns, and extra belts for the 20mm cannons. Well, now that we've gone through all that, let's jump into some gameplay with this aircraft. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any specific good games, like any aces or anything, but I was able to get a few games, quite a few games actually, with 1 or 2 kills where I can just do sort of kill shots and show you guys some cool moves with the aircraft. So I started off this first game, and I made a big mistake. I wasn't really keeping a good lookout, and a P-38 came up behind me, setting me on fire. Luckily, I was able to evade him, and for some reason he just gave up. He just flew off. I think he thought that since I was on fire I would die, although luckily I didn't. The only issue was it burnt away all my fuel, and I was very far from the airfield, but luckily I was only just able to stretch out a glide. I have no engine power for this entire glide back to the airfield. My fuel was burnt down to 0, and yet I was able to glide it back, which does show it is doable from the middle of the map. And this map, it's a fairly small map compared to some of the ones you'll be on. I found myself on the English Channel map a few days ago, and that wasn't fun. That game took 40 minutes, and it was just, it was really annoying. But, you know, eventually it gets dealt with, and then you can move on and continue with your day. Although back to this game, as you see, I was actually able to make it back to the airfield and successfully land my aircraft, which I was fairly happy with, especially since as soon as my fuel was down to 0, I did think to myself, okay, I'm screwed, I'm not going back to the airfield. Anyway, though, I was the last person on my team, and there were 2 enemies left. This P-38 came at me, and he was missing his wings. I was able to critical him, although he did crash, and another friendly who was dead at this point did get the kill, although, you know, it's still a friendly getting a kill, so I don't mind so much. And I did get an assist, so assist system working. And a P-47 decided to head on me. Luckily, I came out on the good side. Him with 450 cals didn't actually damage me much, but nonetheless, that was the end of the game. So, you know, decent game there, especially for one of the early games in the aircraft that I did. In this next game, I tried a tad of bomber hunting, going for this B-17, and I was actually able to kill him fairly easily, which definitely shows that bomber hunting is a role that really is the calling of this aircraft. Especially when flying at altitudes, you can outclimb and outspeed pretty much any bomber, excluding things like the A-26, and your guns, especially the 20mm, have no problem ripping them to shreds, as long as, of course, you are using the correct ammunition types. Now, after killing the B-17, I had a very long diving sort of engagement with this Tempest, although eventually he did slip up and made a big mistake of flying in front of my 20mm cannons, and as you're about to see, yeah, they do a lot of damage. Although, unfortunately, the game did go well, but that was to be short-lived. A P-51H did dive on me, and, you know, he set me on fire. And unlike the last game, the fire didn't go out. This time it kept burning, and it ripped off my wing, which did lead to me dying in that game. This next one isn't specifically a good overall game, but just a general kill that I was rather happy with. First off, it was someone who recognised me as a YouTuber, so I do feel a bit regretful killing them, but nonetheless, a Spitfire Mark 9, I was able to get on his 6 and knock him out after he made a slight mistake, so generally I was quite satisfied with being able to kill a Spitfire Mark 9 at least, especially at low altitude considering the manoeuvrability advantage that he has. And talking of killing more manoeuvrable aircraft, here is a Yak 9. Now, my shots aren't the most accurate, but luckily a few hits from the 20s do rip him to shreds, rip his wing off, which gives me another kill. And those 20s really are the bread and butter of this aircraft. They're the guns that if you get on target, they will kill. Now, occasionally, of course, they will spark, but nonetheless, majority of the time, if you hit that enemy aircraft, either you're going to kill him or you're going to do an awful lot of critical damage to the enemy aircraft. As you can see here is Su-6, very dangerous aircraft to attack. Fairly well armoured, fairly rugged aeroplane, good rear gunner and very deadly front guns. Nonetheless though, he went into a turn giving me much more surface area to hit, and he stalled. One pass and, you know, ripped him to shreds, ripped off a wing, set him on fire, and that gave me my second kill of that game. That was another 2-kill game that I was able to survive, so, you know, I'm fairly happy with that. You know, just another decent game there. As I said, no particularly amazing games, but nonetheless, a fairly decent game. Started off the next game in one of those kills where you know you hit something important. As you can see, the enemy aircraft just exploded. I do find those kills very satisfying when the enemy aircraft just explodes into nothingness. Very fun kill there on that Tempest. Next kill was on a B-17. He had just taken off, everyone was swarming him, and, you know, I wanted to kill, so I went in, and luckily those 20mm rounds were able to knock off the entire rear of his aircraft. giving me my second kill of the game. Now the game did end and I didn't die, so I had 2 kills, so I was fairly happy with that, although unfortunately both teams' points went down at the same time, making the mission a fail. So 2 kills, we did lose, but I didn't die, so I'm fairly happy. Next game, starting off by yet again engaging another Tempest. This time I don't blow him up straight away, although I do set him on fire, so that does begin to take it down. Although I really do need to get that kill fast, because there's multiple other friendlies around who seem very eager to grab that kill. So I dive in, I do luckily get behind him, although my pilot was a bit blacked out. Luckily I can straighten up behind him, get a few shots in as he's trying to outmaneuver me, and, you know, that does give me a kill in that game. Although, unfortunately, in that game I didn't get much else, so that was pretty much it from that game. So in this clip, I am facing up against an F-8F, one of the so-called super props in the game, an aircraft that when you're facing in this, definitely outspeeds, outclimbs, and outmaneuvers you, and probably outguns you as well. So getting a kill on that is a rather nice thing to do, and as you can see, a few hits from the 20s do basically disintegrate his entire aircraft, so I was fairly happy with that. Now this clip here shows the sort of current state of the assist system in War Thunder. So I go for this Tempest and I knock off his rudder, a fairly vital control surface some might say. And what happens? Well, I go for him again. Unfortunately I don't get the kill. Someone else kills him. Do I get an assist? No, I don't. His rudder was gone, which does annoy me a little bit there. But then in that game I went on and I did get a kill on the Spitfire admittedly, but it would have been nice to have got that, at least an assist on that Tempest. But, you know, another Spitfire Mark 9, far more manoeuvrable. Luckily I damage him, and then I can just finish him off, and that's another kill for me. Anyway, though, they're all the game clips I have for you guys. I did have more single kill clips, but I didn't want to have the video with just loads of single kills going on and on and on, because then it would just be a montage with commentary, really. But anyway, Focke-Wulf-190C, definitely an interesting aircraft. The secondary camouflage, basically a copy of the Focke-Wulf-190 D13's camo. I don't mind that so much, it is a nice looking camo. Don't get me wrong though, I would have appreciated a bit more creativity from Gaijin in that department, but nonetheless the D13 camo does look nice on this aeroplane, so I'm not really going to complain all that much. In terms of the bugs that are currently present with the aeroplane, you can still play fairly decently with them present, although I'm sure that they will be patched and fixed fairly soon as Gaijin have time to get around to that, although hopefully it is a fairly high priority on their list. Last thing to note is that this aircraft is still currently available for people who have not done any of the tasks. You can simply buy a few of the tasks. You need 10 of them, so it's going to cost you basically 10,000 golden eagles to get this premium. If you only want it because you want a German tier 4 premium aircraft, I would say get the D13 instead, or possibly get maybe the Ju-288. But nonetheless, if you want this aircraft specifically, it is still available, so you can definitely go and get it through Golden Eagles. Anyway though, thank you a lot for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please consider smashing the like button, maybe even subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.